What if the worst thing you ever saw made you disappear? Imagine living a life so ordinary, so routine, that the very idea of something extraordinary happening seems impossible. Yet what if one night the mundane shattered into a million pieces, leaving you with a chilling memory that would haunt you forever? Mark was just an ordinary guy. Work, home, sleep, repeat. His life was a series of predictable events, a cycle that never seemed to change. He woke up every morning to the same alarm, took the same route to work and returned home to the same empty apartment. It was a life of quiet monotony, one that he had grown accustomed to over the years. But one fateful night, everything changed. The sky was unusually dark, the full moon casting an eerie glow over the city. It was as if the universe itself was setting the stage for something sinister. Mark felt a strange sense of unease as he walked home, a feeling that he couldn't quite shake off. Cutting through an alley after his late shift, he saw two men under a flickering streetlight. The alley was a shortcut he had taken countless times before, but tonight it felt different. The air was thick with tension, and the flickering light cast long, ominous shadows on the walls. Mark hesitated for a moment, but curiosity got the better of him. One pulled a gun, and with a deafening bang, the other fell, blood pooling on the cold pavement. Mark froze. The sound of the gunshot echoed in his ears, a horrifying reminder of the violence he had just witnessed. He stood there, paralyzed with fear, unable to move or even breathe. The killer turned, locking eyes with him. It was a moment that seemed to stretch on forever, a silent exchange that spoke volumes. The killer's eyes were cold and devoid of emotion, a stark contrast to the terror that gripped Mark's heart. He didn't chase, didn't speak, just stared. The silence was deafening, the tension palpable. Mark felt as if he was being judged, as if the killer was deciding his fate in that very moment. It was a stare that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Mark ran, but those cold eyes haunted him. Every step he took, every corner he turned, he felt those eyes boring into his back. It was as if the killer's gaze had imprinted itself on his soul, a constant reminder of the horror he had witnessed. The next day, Mark tried to report the crime. He went to the police station, his hands trembling as he recounted the events of the previous night. The officers listened, their expressions a mix of skepticism and concern. But the police found nothing. No body, no blood. The alley was clean, as if the crime had never happened. Mark's heart sank as he realized that there was no evidence to support his story. It was as if the entire event had been a figment of his imagination. It was as if the murder had never happened. Mark's paranoia grew. He felt watched, followed. Every shadow seemed to hide a pair of eyes, every sound a potential threat. He couldn't shake the feeling that he was being hunted, that the killer was always one step behind him. Every shadow seemed alive. Every step echoed his own. The once familiar streets now felt like a labyrinth of fear, each corner a potential trap. Mark's mind was a whirlwind of anxiety, his thoughts consumed by the memory of that cold, emotionless stare. Then, one night, the doorbell rang. The sound was jarring, cutting through the silence like a knife. Mark's heart raced as he approached the door, his mind filled with 1,000 terrifying possibilities. Heart pounding, Mark opened the door to find a note pinned with a knife. It read, "You're next." The words were like a death sentence, a chilling reminder that the killer had not forgotten him. Mark's hands shook as he read the note, his mind racing with fear and desperation. In terror, Mark fled, leaving everything behind. He packed a bag with trembling hands, his mind focused on one thing: escape. He didn't know where he was going, only that he had to get as far away as possible. As he drove, the streetlights flickered. The road ahead seemed to stretch on forever, a dark and desolate path that offered no solace. Mark's mind was a whirlwind of fear and paranoia, every flicker of light a reminder of the danger that lurked in the shadows. In his rearview mirror, those same cold eyes stared back from the back seat. It was a sight that made his blood run cold, a horrifying confirmation that he could never escape the killer's gaze. Mark's heart pounded in his chest as he realized that he was not alone. The next morning, Mark's car was found abandoned on a desolate road. The police searched the area, but there was no sign of Mark. It was as if he had vanished into thin air, leaving behind only an empty car and a trail of unanswered questions. He was never seen again. His disappearance became a mystery, a chilling tale that would be whispered about for years to come. The missing person posters that lined the streets were a stark reminder of the danger that lurked in the shadows. Thank you for watching this chilling tale from the dark corners of the city. Remember, some crimes leave no trace, but their horrors linger long after. The story of Mark is a haunting reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones we cannot see. Remember, some crimes leave no trace, but their horrors linger long after. The shadows that haunt our nightmares are often born from the darkest corners of reality. Mark's story is a testament to the fact that sometimes the most ordinary lives can be touched by extraordinary horrors. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more tales that blur the lines between crime and the supernatural. Each story we tell is a journey into the unknown, a glimpse into the darkness that lies just beyond the edge of our understanding. Until next time, stay safe and keep an eye on the shadows.